Okay, today's Mishna Brura. I apologize at the outset that it's a little unclear. It's the best print I was able to get hold of. But we are learning here the laws of tefillin, putting on tefillin. Today we'll look about a left-handed person. Itu yad yamino, someone who's has the left-handed. Imose kol melachto bismolo, if he does all of his work with his left hand. Meniach bismolo, he'll put tefillin on his left hand, shu yamin shel kol adam, which is the right hand of every person. In other words, the Torah doesn't view, the halakha doesn't view it as if you have a left-handed person or a right-handed person. Everyone is right-handed. Your right hand, by definition, is your stronger hand. It's just some people are regularly right-handed and some people are inverted right-handed, if that makes sense. So that's the way we look at it. V'im sholet b'shtei yadav, and if literally he rules with both his hands, what that means is if he's ambidextrous, Meniach bismol kol adam, then he'll put on everyone's left hand. In other words, a regular left hand. Vim kotev bimino shar kol ma'asav osim bismolo, and if he writes with his right hand, and all of his other actions he does with his left hand, or kotev bismolo shar kol ma'asav osim biyamin, or he writes with his left hand and does everything else with his right hand. So in other words, what defines right-handedness or left-handedness as far as the halakha is concerned? Is it writing, or is it your main hand that you use during the day? Some say that he should put tefillin on the hand, tashkocho, that its power is weak. Devainan yad kahei, because we require that it should be the weaker hand. And some say that the hand with which he writes is important. Yamin le'inyan zeh, chashuva, beg your pardon. Chashuva is important, but it's a run-on. Chashuva had considered. He chashuva yamin is considered his right hand, le'inyan zeh, as far as this goes. And therefore he should put tefillin on the opposite hand. So some say you go with the weaker hand, some say you go with the non-writing hand. The Ramah says, Vahachi nahog, and that is our custom, that we follow the non-writing hand. Let's now see what the Mishnah Brura says about this. Meniach bismolo, you put on your left hand. V'menicho b'yamino, and if you put it on your right hand, shu smol kol adam, in other words, the left hand, a left-handed person puts it on what we would call his left hand, what the halakha calls his right hand. Af b'diavad lo yatsa, even post facto, he has not fulfilled his obligation. Vain b'ver halakha, take a look in ver halakha. So it's not just an ideal, this is an absolute requirement to put tefillin on the correct hand. Sholet b'shtei yadav, somebody uses both hands, what selamo, this means, shose kolam lachot b'shneim shava b'shava. He does all of his work with both of them, shava b'shava, literally equal, right? He uses both of them equally. Aval im nakello lasot b'smol, but if it is easier for him to use his left hand, av shiyachol lasot zam gam kan b'yamin, even though he's capable of using his right hand, zelo mikri sholet b'shtei yadav, this is not considered an ambidextrous person. So again, ambidextrous, that two hands are totally equal. Shetash koach, his hand is weak, Ratzalamar, tichtiva ein la shum ma'ala mishar melacha yechidit. The first opinion that says you follow the weaker hand says that writing has no special level over any single malacha. In other words, so yeah, just like we wouldn't say, he does everything, but he plays cricket. This is his dominant hand. It's not so important what he plays cricket with. It's not a game changer. Whereas writing, this opinion says writing is also not a game changer. Ve'az linan, that's Aramaic for we go, batar, after, rov ha'ma'asim, the majority of his actions. V'ani create small. So whatever he does, the majority of his actions is considered his right hand, the other hand would be the left. Chashuva yamin, and some say no, the hand which you don't write with is considered your right hand. Why? Dichtiv, as the verse says, ukshartam uchtavtam, bind them and write them. Mashma devoto yad shekotev ba, this implies that with that hand with which you write, tzarich likshor et hatfilin al yad shekenegdo, you need to bind the tefillin on the opposite hand. Miu keshelon nolad kain, however, when he is not born in that way, rak achar kach hirgil atzmo, afterwards he accustomed himself, lichtov bismol ushar ma'asav oseh biyamin, to write with his left hand, but everything else he does with the right hand. So remember, in the second opinion, we say we follow your writing hand as your right hand. So what if this person is naturally left-handed but trained themselves to write with their right hand? Yaniach bismolo kol adam. or the other way around. The person's naturally right-handed, but he writes with his, he's trained himself to write with his left hand, put it on a regular left hand. In other words, the fact that you taught yourself to do something is not relevant. We're interested in what is the hand naturally. A person who is unable to write, so somebody who's not literate. According to all opinions, we follow other work. Whatever you use dominantly is what's called the right hand. And that is our custom, says Ramah. The Mishnah Brura says, take a look in the Ber Halacha, where I'll go into more detail. I beg your pardon, I skipped some Mishnah Bruras earlier. So he says, Yad Yamino, he puts tefillin on his right hand. Afilu, in other words, Afilu na'aseh iter al yadei shehirgil atzma achar kach v'lo nolad kach, yaniach biyamin. Even if he became left-handed through teaching himself to do it, and he wasn't naturally so, yaniach biyamin. Now this is different to the writing. See, what I mentioned with the writing is everything he continues to do with his dominant hand, it's only writing he does differently. Then we say the fact that you've taught yourself writing doesn't make a difference. But if you have truly educated yourself that this has become your dominant hand in every way, that's what we follow. And how much more so if they accustomed him this way from heaven. In other words, he has an illness in his right hand. And the strength was taken away from it, like a stroke. Or he had the bottom of his right hand was amputated, just the hand itself. And so he still has a right arm, but what's he going to be using as his dominant hand now as his left? He needs to do all of his work with his left hand. Certainly, his halachic status is like somebody who's completely left-handed. And you will put on you will put on the hand that lost the arm that lost the hand. And if he returns to his health, and he becomes totally ambidextrous, that would be like everyone else. The hand, we look at the hand which he does all his work, even most of his work. Okay, from now on back in order, halacha number 7. Even if a person has an injury in the place where he puts on tefillin, you should still put on tefillin. Because there is enough space on your arm, on your bicep, to put on two tefillin. Because the bone that is close to the elbow, from halfway down until the elbow, that is the place for tefillin. In other words, half of your upper arm, right? The bottom half of your upper arm is the correct place for putting on tefillin. So even if the place you normally do it, there isn't space, you generally will find space along that bicep. This means on the egg of the bicep, towards the elbow. Not actually on the elbow. Now what if this injury spreads over the entire bicep? Then you can rely on the opinion of those who are lenient to put on the bicep on the upper half of the arm. That's only if it's impossible to put on the lower half, then you can put on the upper half. And if the wound is very great and it's very painful to put on tefillin, then he is exempt from putting on his hand tefillin. Afilu nish arlo makom, even if he has place. So in other words, it's really, really painful. There is the physical possibility, but it's unbelievably painful, so then you don't have to put on. Only put on the head tefillin. Next halacha, number 8. Orech retzua shel yad, the length of the strap of the hand. Kadei shetakif et hazrua, v'yikshor mimenu hakesher, v'timtach al etzba imtzait, is enough that you will shetakif, wrap around the forearm and tie the knot and stretch it onto your middle finger. And tie from it 3 windings. Do 3 windings on your middle finger. V'yikshar and tie it. And the world has a custom of wrapping around your forearm 6 or 7 times. In other words, according to the basic halacha, you tie it around your upper arm. So here this means upper arm. Tie it at the top, and then just drag it, just pull it across over your arm to your finger and wrap it around your finger. That's the main mitzvah. The world has a custom of wrapping it here. It means forearm, right? Brura refers to the entire arm. I don't know if we have different words for upper arm and forearm. So you will wrap it around your forearm 6 or 7 times. And the Ramah says, and do not wrap the straps over the titorah in order to strengthen on the hand. We'll see what that titorah is now. So the Mishnah Brura says, Shlosha krichot, 3 windings, Shnayim beperek hatachton, ve'echad beperek ha'imtzai, 2 on the lower finger, and 1 in the, 2 on the lower joint, and 1 on the middle joint. So if this is the finger, right? So there he has a joint there and a joint there, so you're going to do 2 and 1. Other way around. So you're going to do, these are the joints of the finger, so you're going to do 2 at the bottom and 1 in the middle. Okay. And some say that first you should do that one, so that's going to be number 1, and then you should do the other 2. So v'otam hakrichot ya'aseh achar nachat hashal rosh, and you should make those windings after you've put on the head tefillin. And the idea for that, as we saw previously, is that you shouldn't. The bracha of laneach tefillin is going on both the arm and the head tefillin, so you should try to run on from one to the other as much as possible, not make a break. And since these windings are more of a custom, let's get the primary things accomplished before we go on. Or Shiva, or 7. Ve'anan nahiginan Shiva. We have the custom to do 7 windings around the forearm. Va'ayim l'shari tshuva, take a look in the shari tshuva, shemasik, that he concludes, De'ain lasot ele Shiva krichot rak al azra, only do 7 forearms on, 7 windings on the forearm. The look at such an organ lasot shlosh krichot ala kiboret v'dalet al azra, not like some who do 4 on the elbow, 3 on the elbow and 4 on the forearm. No, do all 7 on the forearm. V'ain likroch, and you should not wrap around on the titorah, because we've already said, ukshartem b'ratzua she'alha ma'abarta. We've already fulfilled it through the strap over there. That we've already fulfilled it with that. V'kayvan she'ain mitzvah klal b'kricha lachein ein lahanicha al tefillah shel ala titorah b'gipan. And since there's no mitzvah at all in winding it, therefore you shouldn't put it on the Torah sheyesh b'kedushi yotev min haratzua. Ve'anoagin laniach hashorosh kodem shekorchen al azra yesh omen diachol likroch haratzua ala katzitza shelo tamush tefillah shel yad min komad sheniach hashorosh. Okay. So what he's saying is, don't do these windings and wrappings over your over the tefillin itself, right? Don't wind the straps over the actual tefillin in order to strengthen it on the hand. So he says again, these windings are not a mitzvah. Therefore, don't put it on the box of the tefillin, which has greater holiness than the strap. So you're putting something not as holy, the strap, on something which is more holy, the box. And some have the custom to put on the head tefillin before they wind it on the arm. And some say that you're able to wrap the arm strap around the box, that it won't move until you finish putting on your head tefillin, and afterwards you'll take it off and sheva krichot and do the 7 windings. Umi shebate yadav tzarot v'atfilin nadin min komam al yirei, and somebody who has thin hands, then the tefillin are moving around through this. So then you can put on, you can wrap it around to keep it there. In other words, if you are putting this the strap on the tefillin over the tefillin itself in order to strengthen it, okay, you can do that. If there's no other way to do it. But as a general rule, that isn't something you should do. So again, the law is, if you go after your weaker hand, your non-dominant hand, if there's a question between whether we follow weaker or a writing hand, so we actually say we follow the writing hand, but that's only if it's your naturally writing hand. If you are left-handed by habit, left-handed because of some kind of injury, so you're left-handed, that's just how it works. Even if you have a wound on your arm, there is a little more space than you perhaps think to move around the tefillin, and if it's really bad, you can even move it higher up on the arm, and the windings on the arm, that the custom is to do it with the 6 times and the 3 times on the finger, but the real mitzvah is just to have it bound on your arm.